It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does on a Tuesday. And good to have you with us. Lot to do over the next 60 minutes. Just being this guy. Smiling Sam. Sam Yarnell will hang out with me for the entirety of the show today. Lot to talk about. How about a one of one in card collecting that you've got to hear about that Topps has put out in light of the Olympics? Speaking of the Olympics, we got to talk about Jordan Chiles, the controversy over this bronze medal. We will get into that. An NFL wide receiver that hasn't played in a game in 6 years. 6 years is getting another shot with a team that Sam is somewhat familiar with. We will delve into that. We'll go through our top fives today. We will start with quarterbacks. We'll do this for different positions leading up to the start of the NFL season. So we'll have that coming up for you a little later on in the program. Yankees lose, and it almost feels like losing 2 games when you lose to the White Sox. And it almost feels like losing 3 games when you lose to the White Sox by double digits. Thankfully, it only counts as 1. Sam Yarnell only counts as 1. Well, we're going to start things out in the NFL with another New York-related team, even though they play in New Jersey. Haason Reddick wants out of New York/New Jersey, doesn't want to play for the Jets because they're not giving him a new deal. The Jets say, no, you will come to training camp. You will not pass go. You do not collect $200, Sam Yarnell. Look, you got a stalemate here between these two sides. With Reddick basically saying, hey, they knew I wanted a new deal. They haven't made me an offer since March. The Jets knew what they were getting when they made this deal for Reddick. It just seems like the most Jets thing that could happen to the Jets, doesn't it?
You see that? You see that big smile?
Smiling Sam. Yeah.
Breaking news, folks. Breaking. Jet's gonna jet. I told you this a couple of months ago, and what has happened since then? Exactly what I said. Haason Reddick requested a trade. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, Jason. You and I were talking about this when Jets opened training camp. And I was like, he's going to hold out and the Jets are going to handle this poorly. And he's going to wind up requesting a trade. Now it's gotten even worse. Every time we talk about the Jets, I talk about how Robert Salah, Joe Douglas. I mean, you can't get Woody Johnson out, but if you could, fire him too. Everyone in that front office, everyone above the players with regard to the Jets needs to go. The organization is in peril. This is a team that should have, for the last 2 seasons, been front-running Super Bowl contenders. And for the last 2 seasons, they've had off-the-field issues and Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles. But besides that, off-the-field issues leading into the year, both seasons, that have caused turmoil around their training camp. I really, you can't write stuff like this. My reaction whenever there's a new break in this story is, oh, how did the Jets this up even more now? And quite frankly, their response to Haason Reddick requesting a trade and saying, listen, guy, until you report, we're not going to trade you, even more foolish. If they were a real Super Bowl contender and a real team that understood their power, they'd be like, okay, you don't want to be here? Go. We'll trade you for a 6th-round pick and a bench-warming player who may get cut from the 53-man roster next week, and we'll prove to you that we didn't need you because that Jets defense was already good enough without Haason Reddick last season. I know they lost their best pass rusher. He went to Philadelphia. I still think they're formidable even without Haason.
Can I make a prediction on this? I'm going to make a prediction on this. Haason Reddick is going to play for the New York Jets this year. Haason Reddick is going to report right before the start of the regular season. I don't know if they'll get a deal done long-term beyond this or what happens after this season or any of that stuff. Haason Reddick is not going to start losing massive amounts of money. He's not going to do it. NFL players, we see this time and time again. How many players actually go through with holding out throughout an entire season? Doesn't happen. And I don't know what Haason Reddick's salary is. We'd have to look it up. I'd be curious to know how much Haason Reddick makes. I don't think Haason Reddick is going to throw away whatever it is he's making. He's already getting fined right now for not being at training camp. I think as much as he's trying to drive the hard bargain here, and as much as he's trying to hold the Jets' feet to the fire, this thing gets to the regular season. The players always cave in these situations. He's going to show up. I think part of this, and I could be completely wrong, I'm watching it from 3,000 miles on the other side of the country, or now 2,500 miles on the other side of the country here in Las Vegas. I think some of this is they don't want to go to training camp. We've seen players do this. Good, veteran, solid NFL stars that don't want to go through training camp, that don't want to go through the mess, the muck, the mire of training camp, and potentially get hurt and then cost yourself even more money. How much is he making?
So he signed a $45 million contract with Philadelphia. This is the last year of that contract. Yeah. He's already made all the guaranteed money out of it, over $30 million. It's hard to understand the verbiage. He's already made $1 million this year. He made that on April 1st when he was a rostered player. I can't tell whether he stands to make $750,000 this year, which is what his cap hit is. If so, Jason, we could see a Le'Veon Bell style holdout.
Yeah, but then what message are you sending to the rest of the league when you do stuff like that? You become toxic. I don't listen. And look, there's always going to be one team that's willing to take a shot on somebody. I get that. We've seen that time and time again. I'm telling you, I think we get to week 1, maybe week 2, if it's a really late reporting or a really late cave by him, he's going to play. He's going to play.
I understand generally the thought that would give someone the perception of being toxic. I just think this situation's a little different because of what we know, right? We know that when Haason Reddick accepted that trade to the Jets, he was doing it under the condition that he would get a new contract upon arrival in New York. Yep. And then Joe Douglas went back on his word.
They did. I don't disagree with any of that. I think the Jets have screwed this up royally. I just don't see a scenario where he just sits out the entire season.
I agree with you.
If they don't trade him, I'd be shocked. Not as shocked as I was watching the Yankees lose to the White Sox last night, though. We'll get to it next.
I'd like to say this is the first time, but there have been others.
How many?
Who can keep track?
You think this is a joke?
Darling, we need answers, and you're gonna give them to us.
Tell us again.
My car broke down. I brought it here.
I got stuck paying an expensive repair bill.
So it's true.
How much, darling?
$2,300.
$2,300.
What was I supposed to do? My transmission was shot.
You pick up your phone and you call CarShield before the car breaks down.
Plans through CarShield cover up to 5,000 parts and systems in your car.
That's right. A plan through CarShield could save you on some criminally high auto repairs, especially if your car is out of warranty. So, call CarShield, America's #1 auto protection company, before a breakdown and save yourself from getting stuck in car repair jail.
Let me guess. You hate saving money.
Who hates saving money?
Apparently you do.
All you had to do was call CarShield. And you could have protected yourself against expensive repairs.
Yeah, and then my price will go up the minute I file a claim.
Shut up! CarShield has the price locked in.
For as long as you cover your car.
I guess I should have called CarShield?
It's about time you said something that made sense.
Now you know what you need to do next time.
Bet he'll call CarShield now.
So can I go? Or
CarShield has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau and was voted America's most trusted auto protection company. Don't get handcuffed paying expensive auto repairs. Call now and get the CarShield guarantee. Your price will never go up and your coverage will never go down as long as you cover your car. In just minutes, you could have a plan that covers up to 5,000 parts and systems in your car. Don't wait until it's too late. Get CarShield's best coverage yet. Call 800-722-6574.
Attention families with a loved one in a nursing home. If your loved one has suffered from bed sores, falls, broken bones, dehydration, or even death, you may be entitled to a substantial settlement. If you have a loved one who is injured in a nursing home, we will find out what happened. State violations are found against nursing homes every day. You have a limited time to file your claim, so don't wait. Call 800-398-5999 and speak with one of our attorneys. The call is confidential and free.
Coming up in 10 minutes, Sam and I will rank our top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. But first, a reminder. You could throw the records out the window when the Yankees and White Sox play, and the White Sox are really, really bad, Sam Yarnell. Go to a baseball game, you never know what you're going to see. I don't know. What other cliches could we throw in here to make me feel better about the fact that the Yankees got beaten in a football-style lashing by the White Sox last night, and Grady Sizemore gets his first win as interim manager for the White Sox? I know it's baseball and anything can happen. I almost wanted to go and look and see who the White Sox, 30 wins now? Was that 30 for them last night?
29.
29? They still don't have 30 wins. It's the middle of August. I almost wanted to go and look to see who the other 28 wins were against. Are any of them against it? I wonder if they beat the Yankees. I wonder if they've beaten the Yankees other than yesterday. I'd have to go and look. But it's just mind-blowing that the Yankees could absolutely get throttled by this team, as bad as it is.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to go back here. I don't think so. At least obviously not in the second half, but as far back as I can see, I don't think that they beat the Yankees all year. Listen, a couple of things to take away from this. One, Jason, 0-3 in New York, May 17th through 19th for the White Sox. And that was the other series they played this year. So the White Sox now 1-3 against the Yankees this season. But I wonder what the aggregate score is, because, man, 12-2, that's a real beating that Chicago put on. Obviously, so the White Sox are not a good team. The Yankees are a good team. Not going to pretend that either of those things aren't true. The White Sox are coming off of a historic losing streak. Yeah, of course they're going to score 12 runs against the best team in baseball. Have you never watched the sport before? That's how these things work. On the Yankees side of things, congrats to Grady Sizemore. I'm a huge Grady Sizemore guy. I talked about this when he was hired. The Yankee side of things is the important thing here, because there is a main takeaway here.
I know where you're going before you even go there.
It's not that the lineup isn't producing around Judge, because that is something that we talked about with their struggles earlier in the season. It's something I talked about even before that on this very show. We have got to end the Luis Gil experience. It just doesn't work this late in the season. I'm sorry. If you want to, as the Yankees, be a contending team in the postseason, Luis Gil is not a part of that playoff roster at all. In his last 25 and a third innings, he's given up 9 earned runs. The walks have not gotten better.
I got a suggestion. Before you go off the deep end here.
Okay.
Before you go off the deep end, I have a suggestion. Let's make Luis Gil the closer. Let's make Luis Gil the closer. Make Holmes the setup guy. Make Luis Gil the closer of this team. All we need is one inning. No. He's got more blown saves than anybody in baseball. I'm done with Clay Holmes. I'm done. He cannot put hitters away anymore. Nope. Give me Luis Gil closing games. Hell, you already went absolutely nuts and put a guy in Jazz Chisholm on a team that's supposed to try to win a World Series. You took Jazz Chisholm, a guy who's never played third base in his professional baseball life, and you put him at third base. We're already doing things that are crazy. So if we're going to do things that are crazy, let's take Luis Gil, make him the closer. He'll come out of the pen. He could throw 100 easy if you're only asking him to throw 1 inning. Let's do that.
What is the number one thing that kills closers. It is the main thing that Aroldis Chapman has struggled with in his career that is preventing him, in my opinion, from probably being a Hall of Famer. Walks. Giving base runners a free pass in the ninth inning of a tight game when closers come into pitch is a death sentence. You will not find closers in Major League Baseball with high walk rates. It's what makes Emmanuel Clase the best closer in baseball. I believe he's walked like 6 hitters all season.
He only walked 2 guys last night. Wait, hold on. Let's look at his walk. Let's look at his walk numbers. Heel for the season, 60 walks in 121 innings. A lot of those were early on in the year too. If you go and look at the numbers, I mean, he had 1 5-walk game on August 7th. Other than that, 2, 3, 1, 1. I mean, look, any walk in the ninth inning is going to kill you, even if it's 1 in a tight game. But the walk numbers really aren't that bad. I mean, he walked 8 guys. He walked 8 guys in the month of July, total.
In his last 3 starts.
Yeah, you're cherry picking though.
10 walks in 14 innings.
I get it, but if I said look at his last 7 starts, how many is it? It's 16 in his last 7. It'd be 16 in his last 7 starts.
It's
16 in his last 7 starts.
7. I was just looking at 6.
Like, it's not.
But even if you just look at 6, it's 16 walks in 28 innings. That's not great.
It's not great. I don't disagree with you. That's not what you can put in a bullpen, especially when you talk about moving a starter to the bullpen, something we know historically is very hit or miss. It's either very good or very bad, and there's not a lot of in between. As the Yankees, as a contender, I just think there are so many better options that you could go. Put Jason Dominguez in the closer role before you put Luis Gil there. I'm just saying. I also heard last night Greg Amsinger and the guys on MLB Network saying Bobby Witt is going to win MVP. Stop it. Let's just stop. This is a pipe dream. This is somebody trying to find something to make this AL MVP race more interesting than it actually is. This is smartest guy in the room, people overthinking this MVP award. It's Aaron Judge. It's Aaron Judge. It's Aaron Judge. Can we just stop with this already? You want to go and waste your money on that, Greg? Go put some money on it. Knock yourself out. Aaron Judge is minus 1,500 right now. Bobby Witt is plus 600. Just stop.
It's only 6-1. The books are not by any stretch of the imagination ruling it out. It would take a lot. It would. And at this point in the season, it would probably take Aaron Judge missing 10 to 15 games. That's never out of the question.
No,
I don't think it's probable. It would, like I said, take a lot. Bobby Witt Jr. would probably have to hit 15 more home runs the rest of the season, which would double at least his home run total. I can't get all the way there. And I'm the biggest anti-Aaron Judge guy there is.
I know, but it's not going to happen. Aaron Judge will be the MVP. Our top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL are next. Let's take it to segment 3 on this Tuesday edition of Sports Wrap. Let's talk about quarterbacks in the NFL. Over the next several days, we'll be going through our top 5s at the various positions around the league as we get you ready for the start of the NFL season. Today, quarterbacks, of course. Hey, let's do some quarterback talk. Bring in our man Sam Yarnell, who rejoins us on the show. All right, Sam Yarnell, top 5 quarterbacks in the league. This is just our opinion. Do what you want with it. I'll go first. I'll tell you what. I'll give you my number 5. You give me your number 5, and we'll just go back and forth like that. How's that? You like that?
Okay.
All right. We'll do that. At number 5, I'm going Tua Tagovailoa is at number 5 for me. Look, I know we could sit here and point to his numbers outdoors. We could point to the fact that they struggled on the road away from Miami. I think he's heard that criticism. I would expect that he's going to be much better on the road this year. I expect that his head coach, Mike Daniels, going to put him in better positions on the road this year. I like the Dolphins this season. I will go Tua at number 5. We obviously know how talented he is, despite what some might want to say about his ability to throw the deep ball, what Tyreek means to that offense, Jalen Waddle, blah, blah, blah. The Dolphins are fine. And Tua's, look, you can't just simply say it's Tyreek. You can't just simply say it's Tyreek Hill. I will go with Tua at number 5. That's what I got. What do you got for number 5?
Well, I'll preface my top 5, Jason, with saying that especially this time of year when we get to mid-August, I'm sure many of the viewers like you and I are getting ready for our fantasy draft. So this becomes a very important conversation when we're talking about our top 5s at every position and our top 10s and who could some late round sleepers be in your fantasy draft this year. But I will say that I did favor the young in my top 5. And for that reason, there is a tie for number 5. Because I just could not pick between the two of these quarterbacks. It's Jordan Love and CJ Stroud coming in at number 5.
You couldn't give just one. You had to give 2.
I tried and tried and tried, and I'll explain why I couldn't pick one. Because we talk about CJ Stroud, and he was my original number 5, and I was like, great, I got it. I'm locked away. I'll tell Jason my list. He'll be super happy about it. But then I was like, CJ Stroud did miss 2 games last year, and we know that CJ Stroud objectively has more talent around him than Jordan Love does. Meanwhile, Jordan Love in the second half of the season last year practically single-handedly willed his team into playoff position and through that playoff race down the stretch. I got to go with those 2 young guns through one season really of seeing each of them. I think both of them are top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now.
Wow. We do not agree at all on this list. And for people to understand, we did not share these beforehand. So I have no idea who he's going to say. He has no idea who I'm going to say. Number 4 for me is Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow is healthy, he's still a top 5 quarterback in this league, and I have to assume health when putting together this list. If I'm assuming health when putting together this list, Joe Burrow, he still has his complement of receivers. It's a very simple one for me. Joe Burrow, number 4 on the list.
Easy as can be. My pick is the exact same. Joe Burrow's number 4. I feel like that's the perfect position for Joe Burrow. Not only, you're right, coming off of injury, I'm sure we're a little distant from his complete repertoire of talent that he'll bring into this season, but also because that just kind of feels like where Joe Burrow is. He is a solid top 5 quarterback in the league. He's not going to be the best, but he's nowhere going to be near the even second half of quarterbacks in the league throughout the entirety of his career. I really like Joe Burrow. I think he'll do a lot this year. He is also at number 4 on my list.
Well, see, we agree, and that just makes the segment go faster and easier for production. Number 3 for me, Josh Allen. Look, if you listen to me on this show, as much as I might sometimes be down on the Bills, and as much as once in a blue moon you might hear me criticize something related to Josh Allen, there's no questioning his talent. There's no questioning. He is one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the game right now. And let me just say, by the way, guys who didn't make this list, it's not because they're not good. It's just there's a lot of really good quarterbacks in this league right now. Josh Allen, certainly near the top of that list. He was 3rd in QBR last year. I will go Josh Allen with number 3.
So my number 3 is Lamar Jackson, but I'll say, Jason, that I actually had the opposite thought when I was constructing this list, because I went division by division, team by team, trying to just go through each team, think about their quarterback on his face, and if he was a top 5 quarterback, and for, I would say 27, more than 27, for 28 of the teams exactly, I said no. And then I took it back on the CJ Stroud and the Jordan Love, as we already heard. My number 3 is Lamar Jackson. He's versatile. He can do it all. And quite frankly, he's proving why the Baltimore Ravens gave him the extension they did. Lamar Jackson is a top 3 quarterback in the league right now. I just think that, like, since we had the era of Roethlisberger, the Mannings, and Brady, quarterback play has fallen off a cliff.
Number 2 for me, Lamar Jackson. Gotta be. I mean, look, you look at everything the guy has accomplished, the MVP awards, and I know he's come up short at key moments in postseason games, but he gets you into that position every year, and you got to think one of these years he will get over the hump, although there are some quarterbacks who are great who never get over the hump for various reasons. I will go Lamar Jackson for all the reasons you stated and more. Lamar Jackson at number 2. Your number 2?
My number 2 is Josh Allen, and here's why I put Josh Allen above Lamar Jackson. I went back and looked at all of their careers, and this was actually before Jason told me we were doing this first segment. Obviously, Josh Allen, your quarterback, won in fantasy last year. Josh Allen has been the quarterback 3 years of his 5-year, 6-year career in fantasy, but in 4 of those 6 years, he's finished more than 10 spots ahead of Lamar Jackson in quarterback rankings. Josh Allen is the number 2 quarterback in the NFL.
I have a feeling we agree on number 1 then. Patrick Mahomes? Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
Okay. Patrick Mahomes, the number 1 quarterback for me. Because, look, he can just kind of coast through a season the way he did last year. Look at that receiving core, and when push came to shove and you got into the postseason, Patrick Mahomes became the Patrick Mahomes we all know and love. For me, it's an easy one. Patrick Mahomes is your number 1 quarterback.
No question. When we talk about quarterbacks in the NFL right now, even in the top 5, there are tiers. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson, everybody else.
No Jordan Love or CJ Stroud for me, though. Just outside. Just outside. Brock Purdy, just outside. Just outside. We're coming back. We got more to do on Sports Wrap. Don't go anywhere. Some more NFL talk next.
Attention families with a loved one in a nursing home. If your loved one has suffered from bed sores, falls, broken bones, dehydration, or even death, you may be entitled to a substantial settlement. If you have a loved one who is injured in a nursing home, we will find out what happened. State violations are found against nursing homes every day. You have a limited time to file your claim, so don't wait. Call 800-398-5999 and speak with one of our attorneys. The call is confidential and free.
We roll along on this Tuesday edition of the show. Coming up 10 minutes from now, something to consider. Consider the mess that is the IOC, gymnastics, Jordan Chiles, a bronze medal, a matter of seconds. Yep, it's a mess. Sam and I continue the conversation on the National Football League, and boy, oh boy, this one, I have to admit, this one took me by surprise a little bit. It speaks to how talented some people around the league, I don't want to say all, but some people around the league think a guy like Martavis Bryant still is. That Dan Quinn, the powers that be at the Commanders, franchise you're certainly familiar with your upbringing and where you're from, that Martavis Bryant is getting another shot. It's like Steve Howe. You'd have to look it up. He's like the Steve Howe of chances. Martavis Bryant getting another opportunity in the league. 6 years since he played in an NFL game, Sam. 6 years. Hey, there's hope if you're Colin Kaepernick. There you go.
He's 6 years since he played an NFL game, Jason. But the crazy thing to me when I was looking up Martavis Bryant, because frankly, I kind of remember him on like the 15 Steelers, which is like the Killer Bee era, if I remember correctly. But he's only 32 years old. Like, the guy is by no means like way over the hill. He was very, very young when he was a standout in the NFL. Obviously, the off-the-field issues were the problem for Martavis Bryant his entire career. Both the year he was suspended in Pittsburgh, the other suspension in Pittsburgh.
Wasn't it weed?
What?
Wasn't it weed?
I don't remember exactly, and it may have been different things because there were multiple suspensions. It may have been cannabis, but same thing in Oakland, right? If I remember correctly, he got to Oakland and had off the field issues, and it's never, it's never great when this is the kind of player that you're signing off the street. However, I think that the Commanders, one, need this for a very young wide receiver room.
They need size.
And need someone
They need
to
size.
teach Terry. What's up?
They need size. They're
Sure.
lacking size in that receiving core if you go look up and down.
But not even that for the physical or on-field acumen so much as for what he'll do for Terry McLaurin in the wide receivers room and show him, what it takes to be a leader in an NFL locker room and that kind of thing. It is exciting, and obviously under a coach like Dan Quinn in an organization like Washington, which I think we can all kind of safely assume is that since the Dan Snyder era, they've kind of cleaned up their act, and they very much changed the face of that organization and what it represents. I think this could be a good landing spot for Martavis Bryant. This could be a win for both the receiver and the Commanders. I really don't hate the play, especially as someone who has said on this show that, don't count the Commanders out to make some sort of run this season.
Here's the thing. You have nothing to lose. You sign him to a tiny contract. If it fails miserably, you could always let him go. I don't have a problem with it. It does make you wonder, though, how many guys have sort of been cut from teams that are really talented that never got this sort of second opportunity that Martavis Bryant is getting. And in his case, third, fourth, fifth opportunity. I mean, Martavis Bryant is a talented receiver. I mean, you think about his early years. I remember watching him early in his career and thinking, man, this guy is a stud. And all that potential that wasn't realized. If you can't get it right, if you can't stay on the field, if you can't stay on the roster after all that he's been through, after all the lessons, all the mistakes, if you can't stay on the field at this point, if you're Martavis Bryant, then, heaven forgive you, man.
Let's just take a moment to understand, recognize, and appreciate the unbelievably, and I mean unbelievably tight ship that Mike Tomlin runs up there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
We're talking about these Pittsburgh teams having Martavis Bryant suspended more than a season worth of his NFL career, Ben Roethlisberger, who had his share of run-ins with the law, Le'Veon Bell, who had a falling out with the Jets and is no longer in the league because of it, and Antonio Brown, who everyone knows what he does on Twitter every single day. Not to mention the Pouncey, maybe it was just one Pouncey at that time, but not to mention the Pouncey who was on the Miami team and getting in trouble down there. Mike Tomlin does an insane job of handling all sorts of personalities that come into that Pittsburgh locker room. He really does.
By the way, just another NFL note, and I'll throw this one out for you. Chase Claypool. Day to day, even though he's on injured reserve, how much concern do you have as Bills fan number one on this show?
None whatsoever. Chase Claypool, Jason, if Chase Claypool being injured did cause me concern, that in and of itself would cause me more concern than Chase Claypool being injured. Because if I were really concerned about Chase Claypool being injured, it would mean that there was some substantial part of the team's season resting on him. There isn't. He doesn't need to be on the roster. It's okay.
Bills need all the help they can get, dude. Gotta get, I mean, look, man.
Keon Coleman's taking us to the promised land. Stop it.
All right. You heard it here, folks. From Bills fan number one. Jordan Chiles trying to get back her bronze medal. Does she have any shot? We'll get to it next. Time for something to consider on this Tuesday edition of Sports Wrap. Odds and ends right around the corner. The one sports collectible card you have to have, if you can get it. We'll tell you about it coming up. Also, a update on the story we discussed yesterday on the show with Jaron Duran. I will give my thoughts on that as well as Sam Yarnell rejoins us for something to consider. All right, Sam Yarnell, something to consider. The Olympics always find a way to screw it up. I mean, there's no getting around it. The Olympics will always find a way to screw something up. They'll always take something great. These Olympic Games were among the best Olympic Games that we've seen in a while. And what happens? They screw it up. This Jordan Chiles situation continues to evolve. She had a bronze medal. Actually, she didn't have a bronze medal. Then she had a bronze medal, and now she doesn't have a bronze medal again. This is because an arbitration panel, USA Gymnastics, informed by the Court of Arbitration for Sport on Monday that their rules do not allow for an arbitral award to be reconsidered even when conclusive new evidence is presented. The evidence in this case is that Jordan Chiles, who, so what happened was Romania was originally third. I know, it's so convoluted. It's stupid.
What happened was...
What happened was the Romanian gymnast had finished in third. Forgive me for not knowing her name. Nobody cares because that's not really what the story is about. This Romanian gymnast finished in third. Jordan Chiles finished her routine. Her coaches appealed for a point deduction that had been taken away to have that deduction taken off, essentially. So she'd have 0.1 higher on her score. You still with me right now? Are you still here? Have you turned off the channel? Are you thinking about it? Hold on, it gets better. So Jordan Chiles, they appeal. She gets the point. She gets the bronze because she gets that 1/10 of a point that had been deducted. She gets it back. Then the Romanians come up and say, no. They appealed too late. You only have 60 seconds to file an appeal with the judges. They are saying it was 4 seconds too late beyond that appeal. United States Olympics Committee, Gymnastics came forward and said, no. We have proof that it was filed at like 44, 45 seconds, not post 1 minute. Even despite the fact that they have video proof of them filing this appeal on time, this court of arbitration is saying, nope, ruling stands. Romania gets the bronze. Jordan Chiles gets nothing.
So, couple of things. Not only, Jason, did the U.S. Gymnastics coach challenge it once at 48 seconds, I believe. She notified that she was challenging or appealing again at 55 seconds because she thought they may not have heard her the first time. Then again, after a minute, so on and so forth. But that was the evidence that the U.S. was submitting. And
just get
like
it right.
You said,
just get it right.
Well, I mean, this is the ridiculous part. The part that you said at the end is
arguing over a second.
They were so happy and quick to go back on their original decision during the Olympics, but then the U.S. said they didn't have access to the later submitted evidence. Once they got it, they immediately submitted it, and the Olympic Committee says that it's too late. The judgment body says that the appeal is too late. It makes no sense to me, Jason. You can't give someone something, take it away, then be proven that you should have given it to them in the first place and not give it to them. It's not fair, right? And like, to me, the Olympics is something that goes back almost as far as like human history, right? I think of ancient Greece because that's all what we learned the first Olympics would happen. That to me represents like fairness in the world. And this is the exact opposite of it. I can't understand this ruling. I can't get behind any of it.
Ana Barbaso, by the way, of Romania, winds up with the bronze. They're still trying to work out Jordan Chiles giving back the bronze medal. If I'm Jordan Chiles, I'm putting that thing in a safe. I'm locking it away. Ain't nobody getting it back. Now what are you going to do? I got my bronze.
couple of things. There was an agreement between Romania and Chiles.
Let them both get a bronze. Yes.
They were going to split the medal.
Yes.
They were just going to split it. Both be bronze medalists. And the Olympic Committee, the judgment body, said no. That's out of this world. That's ridiculous.
It's
especially when there's precedent
Yes, there is precedent.
I believe it was the high jump 2 Olympics ago. Nyjah Houston, the skateboarder from the U.S., posted a video on social media. The bronze medals they gave out at this Olympics are like falling apart already. The pieces of bronze are chipping off of them. It's ridiculous. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's absolutely wild.
Real quick before we go, and something to consider, some news coming in late this afternoon. Sam, JJ McCarthy? It's a meniscus what's going on here? Injury,
apparently. He'd been complaining of pain over the weekend. MRI reveals he will have to get surgery. We don't know how long he'll be out. That will depend on this coming surgery, Jason.
Tough start to his rookie year. We got more to do on this Tuesday edition of Sports Wrap. Sam goes away. I'll come back and finish up the show. Odds and ends right around the corner. All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Tuesday. Sam is done for the day. I will handle odds and ends on my own. Odds and ends, a follow-up on a story we discussed on yesterday's show involving Jarren Duran. You may not have seen it. Maybe you don't want to see it. Jarren Duran got himself into a little bit of hot water when on Sunday, during an at-bat while his team was being blown out 10-0, he decided to go and yell at a fan who was yelling at him. The fan was heckling him, and Duran turned around and said, "Shut up, you effing F-word," homophobic slur. You can figure out what word it was. The team put out a statement on his behalf, basically after the game, apologizing. They put out their own statement, and essentially what you got was some kind of lukewarm apologies. You knew there was going to be some action taken by the league or the Red Sox. We found out what that action was on Monday afternoon. The team, along in conjunction with Major League Baseball, suspending Jarren Duran for 2 games without pay. Now, his pay will go to PFLAG, which is a group that supports families of gay and lesbian, transgender, folks, and that's obviously all fine and good. I have a column that's going to go up on Tuesday. If you're watching this show on a Tuesday, there'll be a column going up on msnbc.com in which I write about this topic and this suspension, and how Major League Baseball, this basically falls in line with what Major League Baseball has done when it comes to suspensions of this kind for these sorts of transgressions, for homophobic slurs. It's usually fallen in the 2 to 3 game range, and that's what they decided to do with Jarren Duran. But I think there's a bigger conversation that needs to be had within Major League Baseball about whether this is enough. It's real simple for Major League Baseball to sit there and make money on the backs of Gay Pride Month and all these different things, where they put hats out and special jerseys and all these different things that you go and buy, and it winds up putting money in the pockets of Major League Baseball and its teams. But it's another thing entirely to actually do something that shows you have the back of the LGBTQ plus community. And I don't think Major League Baseball's doing that by simply throwing down a 2-game suspension. If Jarren Duran had turned around to a fan and yelled an ethnic slur or a racial slur, would it be 2 games? You and I both know the answer to that. The answer is no. We saw a guy in Tom Brenneman lose his job, fired, 4 years out of broadcasting, essentially, for saying this same homophobic slur into a hot mic that he didn't know was on doesn't absolve him in any way, shape, or form. During a broadcast almost 4 years ago to the day. And he essentially lost his career for 4 years, only getting rehired this year to go work on the CW broadcasts. Yet you're going to sit here and tell me that a player in uniform with millions of people watching, that's somehow only deserving of a 2-game suspension for saying the same exact thing? Doesn't make sense. Major League Baseball needs to do better on this. They need to also find somebody to take up the mantle, to take control of the job that Billy Beane had after he passed away last week after a brave battle with leukemia. They need to find somebody to take on that role. I haven't heard Major League Baseball say a word about that yet. Last but not least, odds and ends. You want a card to go and collect? If you don't collect cards, go try to get your hands on this one. Topps has put out a special card from the Olympic Games. It is a true one-of-one. It is autographed on card by Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant. So they have these Topps Now cards. Does Topps. After certain moments in sports, they will immediately produce a card to commemorate that moment. And you can go out and buy it. Sometimes they're $10, $20, whatever. And you can go order as many of them as you want, usually. I would imagine these have already sold out. But one lucky person who bought this card without the autograph, the card as Topps sells it comes without the autograph. But one lucky person who paid for this card is going to get the one that you see on the screen. And it's probably going to be a 6-figure card, if I had to guess. I tried to get Darren Ravel on the show today to talk about it. He wasn't available. But somebody's going to get that card and be very happy, because that is your golden ticket. If this is Willy Wonka, that's your golden ticket right there. Because that is easily a 6-figure card for whoever gets it in the mail. So the day the mail comes, if you've ordered one of these cards, be looking out for that, and then we'll see what somebody does with it when they get it. A true one-of-one being put out by Topps. Good job by them with Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant. I only hope that it doesn't have like a bend in the corner, because sometimes, Topps cards, quality control, fanatics, these things happen. Good luck. Going to put the wraps on the show for today. Thanks to Sam Yarnell. Thanks to you for watching. We'll see you back here on Wednesday for another edition of Sports Wrap. Until then, I'm Jason Page. Thanks for being with us.